Hey, what's up everybody? It's your mortgage expert, Brian McCauley here. So whether you're an existing homeowner in Texas or whether you're looking to buy a primary home in Texas, you gotta remember one of the best and biggest things about owning property in this great state is your homestead exemption on your property taxes. Stick around. In this video, I'm gonna teach you all the secrets you need to know about a homestead exemption here in the great state of Texas. So listen, the housing market is starting to boom again. People are getting excited about it. Interest rates are coming down. But one of the really cool things about buying a property as a primary residence in the state of Texas is your homestead exemption. So what is a homestead exemption? Well, the state of Texas wants to give people incentives to buy houses, and they've done that in multiple ways. And one of the cool new ways that they've done it is by making sure that if you buy a property in the state of Texas as a primary home, you get to file what's called a homestead exemption. Now, this has been around for a while. A homestead exemption is just a fancy word for a primary home. It just means it's your principal home, your principal residence, your primary home. You live there full time. Basically, this is an exemption that you get to file with the county no matter where you live that gives you a break not only on the property taxes, but it puts a cap on the amount of the property taxes that the city can continually increase each and every year. There is a big jump in this new number that was just passed in a bill, I believe last year. It moved the homestead exemption amount from $40,000 to $100,000. And all that really means, if you're a primary homeowner in the great state of Texas, that your property taxes continue to come down. You know, there are a lot of great things about this state. One of them obviously is no state income taxes, but on the flip side of the coin, the property taxes for people that buy here or people that come out of state, it can seem kind of expensive. And I tell people, well, the net ends up being better. Number one, no state income taxes obviously on your income. You know where your money's going. But number two, people are happy to pay a little higher property taxes. Why? Well, it goes into the parks, it goes into the schools, it goes into the police departments, it goes into infrastructure and things that maintain a great community. It can even go into the police departments, it can go into hospitals, it can go into schools, it can go into a numerous amount of things, but you're reinvesting back into the community. However, with things being a little more expensive on the property tax component in Texas, you know, they've recently increased the homestead amount that people are allowed to file for on their property. I think prior to this, it was $40,000 was about the break, and now it's increased to $100,000. So simple math is obviously you're going to save about an extra $800 to $900 a year on your property taxes. But here's the cool thing that I like the most about homestead exemptions. Outside of the state of Texas saying, hey, if you buy a property and it is your primary home and you file this form through the county, which I'll talk about how to do at the end of the video, not only will it give you a property tax break immediately on the amount of money that you'll have to pay, it's probably about a 10 to 15% break on the property taxes that you'll pay each and every year. A big piece of this is it caps out the amount that your city can increase the value in the property taxes too. Now, this is what I mean about this. It doesn't mean that your house can't go up each and every year. That's one of the great things about buying a house is that it is an increasing asset. It goes up with value over time, and it's appreciating. That's how people make money and create wealth. However, one of the downsides to an increased property value is also increased property taxes. So let's say you live in a house, you buy for $500,000. Let's say you live there for 5 years, and the property taxes and the value increase from $500,000 to, let's call it $650,000 over five years. That's a great thing for you as a homeowner. Yes, I've made $150,000 in appreciation and equity and value. When I go to sell my property, I'm going to make that money on the sale. That's a great thing. However, higher property values also mean higher property taxes. But the cool thing about a homestead exemption, when you file the form properly, is that after your first year living there as a primary residence, the county can continue to increase the property value as they see fit, and they can also increase the property taxes as they see fit. But, disclaimer, not only will the value continue to increase as properties go up and the property taxes will go up with it, but you, as the primary homeowner living as a primary residence, are only subject to 10% of the increase. That's correct. Only subject to 10% of the increase. So it gives you a lot of protection on the cap over the life of however long you live in the property as a primary. And the reason the county is going to continue to increase the property value and increase the property taxes, assuming the property values continue to trend up, which historically they do, is because the next person that buys that house, it may not be their primary. It may be a secondary home. It may be a rental home. So when you go to sell it, whatever the value is on the house, obviously getting a home loan, getting a full fair, market appraisal on it, they're going to pay what it's actually worth. But if that next buyer is not buying it as a primary home immediately, whatever those new taxes are, let's say you bought it again for $500,000, hypothetical example, the property taxes were $10,000 at that time per year, and you go to sell it for $650,000, now the property taxes are, let's call it $14,000 or $13,000 annually. Well, once you get in the property and you move in at $10,000, your cap is done. You're taken care of starting the following year, and no matter how much the property increases and no matter how much the property taxes increase, you are only subject to paying 10% max each and every year. That's a great thing for you because, again, if everybody that bought a property made a ton of money on the appreciation had to keep up with the property taxes, it could put people in potential to where they could potentially default on the property because they can't afford the property taxes. So the homestead is a really, really great thing that people need to be aware of in Texas and buying a primary home. Obviously, it's been there for a long period of time, but it just increased. You get an even bigger break. Now, one of the things that I want to get into at the end of this video is specifics on how to file your homestead exemption, and then what happens if you are a homeowner that sells a primary residence to a new person coming in, buying as a primary residence, and there's a homestead already in place. Does this stay? How does this work? Will there be an increase in the future? And how do all the numbers shake out? So let me explain how it works if you're a potential buyer in Texas. You're buying a property as a primary residence and you're buying it from an owner that currently is a primary residence for them and they've got a homestead exemption in place. What will happen is when buyer A buys from seller A and the transfer of the deed and the ownership happens, once the sale is complete, the county will record and say, hey, this person sold to this person. It was their primary residence. They had a homestead on it. Obviously, this new buyer moved into it and bought it as a primary. That homestead will stay temporarily, but the homestead that's on there right now when you convert as the new buyer is really the homestead exemption for the previous owner. So what happens is you as the new buyer can't just keep that homestead in place forever because it's applicable to the previous owner. There's a short little window that the county will obviously keep that in place, but you as the new buyer have to go file the new homestead exemption form through the county and say, hey, I'm the new buyer. This is my homestead exemption form. It's my primary residence. So please don't take this exemption off of here because obviously I don't want my taxes to balloon up through the roof. Now, couple things you need to know about filing a homestead exemption form in Texas once you buy a house and it's your primary home. Number one, you got to make sure that your driver's license is updated with the current same address as the primary home because they're going to ask you to prove that it's your primary residence. And one of the ways that the county wants you to do it is through like a visible upload and photo of your driver's license or ID. So make sure and get your driver's license changed with your new primary home. Now, the other way to do it is you can do it by mail, you can do it by bills, but I recommend anybody that's buying when you go to file, you can do it really one of three ways. You can physically go old school into the county and take all your paperwork and your documents and everything and do it right there in person. That may take you a couple of hours, obviously, to schedule an appointment with the county, but you'll get it done right there in person. You'll get proof, you'll get a stamped certificate, and then obviously the public record will update in the next probably 3 to 4 weeks or 3 to 4 months, depending upon how backed up the county is. The second way is probably the most effective way that I think people should do, and there's two options here. Number one, you can do it yourself. You just go onto the county website. So if you're in Dallas, you go to Dallas County Central Appraisal District, Collin County, Tarrant County, actually anywhere in the state. The best place is to go to the Central Appraisal District website and then go and find the CAD and find the specifics on the property. So that way you can file the specific homestead form online, and that way you'll be fully protected. You'll get proof that everything has been filed, everything else is good. You can do it that way online, or you can actually go through and do it specifically through maybe a title company that you close with, and you're thinking, hey, I don't know exactly how to file this form. I'm not exactly sure. What's the best course of action to do it? So everybody closes escrow with a title company. The title company is the third-party facilitator that helps with all the paperwork whenever the transaction is finalized, so that way people know exactly who the owner is and the closing statement, all the numbers and everything. But the title company is a big component and helper to the transaction being closed. And if you use the title company to close your transaction, you can go back to the escrow agent, anybody at the title company, and ask them, hey, you helped me close this transaction. Can you help me fill out the form so that way everything is filled out properly, it's executed, it's signed and dated and done correctly, and then the title company can actually help you file that form either with the county or upload on the website. So those are one of 3 or 4 ways that make it super easy for people to not only find the form, fill out the form, sign the form, send everything into the county, so that way that homestead exemption form that you must have to save yourself monthly money on the property taxes, to save yourself on the homestead cap, to make sure that your property taxes won't balloon up and get out of control with the money, is all filed properly for now and obviously in the future. Now, one thing to remember is that if you buy your property as a primary home, the homestead exemption form doesn't automatically fall into place. It's an option, meaning some people are just lazy. Some people forget, some people don't do the form right. We know how the county works, right? If they can charge you extra money for taxes, they're gonna charge you extra money. So just because you buy it as a primary doesn't mean your homestead exemption is automatically going to be there. You as the new buyer and your primary home have to take full responsibility and go navigate how to either go through the county, go through the title company, or mainly do it the old school way, and make sure not only get your homestead exemption formed, but get copy and record that it's been recorded, it's accurate, it's now attached to the property with your name on it, so that way you're fully protected on the property tax increase and the homestead exemption cap, and you can benefit from the new increase that the counties are now allowing, which I think is up to $100,000, and obviously gives you big relief on both city, state, and school taxes. So listen, I hope you found this video helpful and useful. If you did, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and if you or anybody else that you know could benefit from this video, like it, share it, mention it to somebody who's looking to buy a property. And as always, if you're looking to get pre-approved or just want to have a conversation about your current financial position, buying a house or refinancing or anything real estate related, reach out to our team. We're always here for you. 972-244-6760. Brian at the McCauley team. Never a bad time to get pre-approved. The market's going to boom quickly. We want to be here for you and make sure that we're your mortgage advisor to get you all the way to the finish line. Until next time, stay tuned.